I didn't believe in rules like that, the kind you see in comments under horror videos, the kind people swear by with shaky emojis and half-missing punctuation. Don't look out the window. Don't say your name. Don't open the door. I always thought they were just stories people told to turn boredom into meaning. Then I moved into apartment 2C, and someone left a rule for me, printed, not handwritten, taped to the inside of my front door at eye level, like it had been waiting for whoever came next. It was a single sheet of paper with 3 lines. If someone knocks after 3 a.m., do not answer. Do not check the peephole. Pretend you are not home. No signature, no explanation, no dramatic warning, just instructions. I laughed the first time I read it. Not because it was funny, but because it was ridiculous. Like finding a "Beware of Dragons" sign on a normal apartment door. I peeled it off, folded it once, and tossed it on the kitchen counter. Then I did what everyone does when they move in. I got busy. Boxes, internet setup, tiny repairs, that first night exhaustion that makes you sleep like you've been unplugged. By the time midnight came around, the paper was buried under takeout menus and a screwdriver. I forgot it existed. That was my first mistake. The building is older than it looks, one of those places that got renovated just enough to appear clean from a distance. Fresh paint in the lobby, new numbers on the doors, modern keypad on the main entrance that works, most of the time. But the bones of it are old. You can feel it in the narrow hallways, in the way sound travels, in the way the air seems to pause when the elevator doors close. The floors creak in patterns. The pipes knock like someone tapping a pen in a meeting. I'd moved there because it was cheap, close to work, and quiet. Quiet in the way buildings are quiet when people have learned not to get involved. My job doesn't matter. My routine does. I wake up early. I leave around 7. I come back around 6. I don't throw parties. I don't have visitors. I'm the perfect neighbor because I barely exist. That's important. Because when you barely exist, you don't expect anyone to notice you. For the first week, nothing strange happened. The building settled around me the way it does, like it was deciding whether I belonged. I met the woman next door once, briefly. Her name was Valerie. She was in her 40s, always in motion, always holding keys or groceries or a phone pressed to her ear. "New tenant?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. She nodded like she'd already known. "Door sticks sometimes. You have to pull it hard to lock." Then she looked at me, just a half second too long. "You got the paper?" she asked. "What paper?" Her expression shifted. Not surprise, more like disappointment that I didn't understand. "The rule," she said, quietly. I tried to laugh it off. "Oh, that thing? Yeah. Weird." Valerie didn't laugh. "Not weird," she corrected, voice low. "Useful." Before I could ask what she meant, her phone rang. She answered immediately and walked away down the hall like she'd said too much. That night, I remembered the paper. I found it in a drawer, unfolded it, read it again, and rolled my eyes at myself for even thinking about it. But I didn't throw it away. I put it back on the inside of the door, just in case. That was my second mistake. Because just in case is still a kind of belief. The first knock. It happened on a Thursday. I fell asleep on the couch with the TV still on, volume low. I woke up at 2:58 a.m. to the blue glow of a late-night infomercial and the numb ache in my neck. I turned the TV off and stood up, half asleep, planning to stumble into my bedroom. That's when my phone vibrated. No notification, no message, just a single vibration like a bug hitting glass. I looked at the screen. 2:59 a.m. I frowned. The battery was fine. No alarm set. Nothing. Then the minute changed. 3 a.m. And the knock came immediately after, as if it had been waiting for the clock to give permission. 3 knocks. Not loud, not frantic, controlled, perfectly spaced. My entire body went cold in a way that didn't match the situation. It felt older than fear, like my nervous system recognized a pattern my brain didn't. I stood completely still. The paper on the inside of my door was right there, in my peripheral vision. Do not answer. Do not check the peephole. Pretend you are not home. I held my breath. The knocks came again. 3 knocks. Same rhythm. Then a voice, muffled slightly through the door, but clear enough. "Hey," the voice said, calm, male. "Sorry, I know it's late." I didn't move. "I'm on the wrong floor," he continued, as if he was explaining something reasonable. "My friend texted me the wrong unit number. Could you just tell me, are you 2B or 2C? It was a clever question, because it didn't ask me to open the door. It didn't sound threatening, it sounded like a mistake. And the answer was easy. 2C. 1 word. 2 syllables. My mouth actually opened before my brain caught up. I closed it again. Silence. The man sighed softly, like he was listening for something. "You don't have to open," he said. "Just answer." I felt my heart push against my ribs. Number 1. I stared at the door like it might move. Another pause. Then the man spoke again, quieter now. "I can hear you." My skin prickled. I hadn't moved, I hadn't spoken, I hadn't even swallowed. But he said it with certainty. It was a pressure tactic. A bluff. Right? The doorknob didn't rattle. The lock didn't test. There was no frantic banging. Just that calm voice. Just that patient rhythm. "Okay," he said finally, almost friendly. "No worries." Footsteps moved away down the hall, slow, unhurried. I waited until I couldn't hear them anymore. Then I exhaled. My lungs burned like I'd been underwater. I stayed awake until sunrise with every light on, feeling stupid and shaken at the same time. In the morning, I told myself it was nothing. A drunk, a confused neighbor's guest, a harmless mistake. Then I opened my door and saw what made my stomach drop. On the outside of my door, right around the peephole, there was a faint ring of moisture, as if someone had pressed their palm against the metal and held it there. And below it, on the paint, near the handle, were 3 small scratches, vertical, like marks, like someone had tested something sharp against my door and left a signature. I rubbed at them. They didn't come off. The rule becomes real. I went to Valerie's door and knocked, normal knocking, daytime knocking, the kind that says neighbor and not threat. She opened immediately, like she'd been waiting. Her eyes flicked past me to my door. "You heard it," she said. I didn't ask how she knew. "Last night," I replied. "At 3. Valerie nodded once. "Did you answer?" "No." Her shoulders loosened slightly, like she'd been holding tension for a week. "Good," she said. "What is it?" I asked. Valerie hesitated, then made a small motion with her head. "Inside," she said. "Not in the hallway." I stepped into her apartment. It looked like mine, but lived in. Plants, framed photos, a faint smell of coffee that never fully leaves. Valerie shut the door and kept her voice low. "There are people in this building who aren't on the lease," she said. "They come and go. They use the stairwell. They use the back door. They're not supposed to be here." "Squatters?" I asked. Valerie shook her head. "Worse. They're opportunists. I didn't like that word. It made it sound like a business model. They knock, she continued. They don't force anything. They listen. For what? For you, she said, and her eyes didn't blink. For proof. I felt my mouth go dry. Valerie walked to her kitchen drawer and pulled out a different sheet of paper. It looked like the one on my door, but older, folded many times. First tenant, who got the paper, lived here 2 years ago, she said. He didn't take it seriously. He answered through the door. She swallowed. Next morning, his apartment was wrong. Not robbed, not trashed, just wrong. Things moved, food missing, his keys in a different spot, like someone had been practicing being him. My stomach clenched. Then he started hearing it inside, Valerie continued. Knocks, taps, like someone learning the sound of his space. I stared at her, trying to find the line where this became paranoia. And then? I asked. Valerie's voice dropped. Then he disappeared. A chill crawled up my spine. Police? I asked, even though I already knew how that would go. Valerie's mouth tightened. They said he skipped town, left his stuff behind. They called it voluntary. She looked at me with something like pity. Do you know what's scarier than a break-in? She asked. I didn't answer. Valerie leaned closer. A break-in is loud. It's obvious. It's violence. She tapped her fingers softly on her kitchen counter. This is quiet. This is permission. Permission. That word stayed in my head like a thorn. Valerie pointed at the paper. They can't do anything if you don't acknowledge them, she said. No voice, no peephole, no movement. If you pretend you're not home, you're not part of it. I took a slow breath. So what do they want? Valerie's eyes flicked to her own door, then back. They want you to respond, she said. Because once you do, they know your patterns, your voice, your presence, and then they can come back and sound like anything. I left her apartment with my skin crawling. In my own place, I reread the rule on my door. It felt less like superstition now and more like a survival guide. The second knock. It happened again 3 nights later. This time, my phone didn't vibrate. My smoke detector chirped. One single chirp, the low battery sound, except the battery was new. It woke me instantly. I sat up in bed, heart racing. The room was dark, silent. I checked my phone. 2:59 a.m. My stomach dropped. I stared at the screen until it changed. 3 a.m. 3 knocks. Same rhythm. Then a different voice. Female. Soft. Shaky. Like she'd been crying. Please, she whispered. I know you're in there. My throat tightened. I need help, the woman said, voice trembling. Something is wrong in the hallway. Someone's following me. Please, just open the door. My hands shook under the blanket. It sounded real. That was the problem. Real fear is messy. It breaks. It stutters. This voice was messy in all the correct ways. My brain tried to build a story around it. A woman in danger. A chance to do the right thing. Then I remembered Valerie's word. Permission. The woman's voice continued. I can see your light, she said softly. My blood went cold. My light was off. My bedroom was dark. My entire apartment was dark. So how could she see it? Unless she was guessing. Unless she was testing. Unless she wanted me to react. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The woman sniffed, like she was listening too. Then her voice shifted, just slightly. Not angry, not desperate, almost curious. Okay, she whispered. Try again. There was a faint movement outside, like shoes adjusting. Then the woman spoke again, but her tone was different now, cleaner, less shaky. "I'm your neighbor," she said, calm. "It's Valerie. Something's wrong in the hall. I need you to open up." My heart slammed. That wasn't Valerie's voice, not even close. But if I'd been half asleep enough, if I hadn't talked to Valerie, if I hadn't memorized her cadence, I might have believed it. The voice tried again, perfecting it. "It's Valerie," it said. "Open the door." Then softly, like an afterthought, "Please." A chill crawled up my spine because it wasn't pretending to be Valerie. It was practicing. And it was using my silence as permission to keep trying. I held still until the hallway went quiet again. Then I heard something else. Not footsteps moving away. Footsteps moving closer. And stopping. Right outside my bedroom wall, a faint tapping began. Tap, 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 inside the wall, not on the door. My entire body locked. The paper on my door hadn't said anything about this. It hadn't said what to do when the boundary moved. Tap, tap, tap. A pause. Then 3 taps again. The exact same rhythm as the door, like it was teaching itself, like it was learning my apartment from the inside. My phone buzzed. A message appeared from an unknown number. "Good. You're quiet." My blood turned to ice. A second message. "Don't worry. We only come if you answer." A third message. "Say something." My hands shook. I didn't. The tapping in the wall stopped immediately, as if it had been waiting for that refusal. A long silence followed. Then a final message arrived. "Next time." The building starts to feel wrong. The days after that were worse than the nights, because fear isn't a switch. It doesn't turn off in daylight. It just changes shape. I started noticing things in the building I hadn't noticed before. A stairwell door that didn't latch properly. A basement access panel with fresh scratches around the screws. A maintenance sign in the lobby printed in the same font as my rule paper. Resident safety notice. Do not open your door to unknown persons after hours. It looked official, but the paper was too clean, too new, too perfect. And it had that same small symbol at the bottom. A circle and 3 marks. I took a photo of it and showed Valerie. Her face went pale. "That wasn't there yesterday," she said. "Maybe management put it up," I suggested. Valerie shook her head slowly. "No," she said. "That's theirs." My throat tightened. "How do you know?" Valerie's hands shook as she held my phone and zoomed in on the symbol. "Because this used to be a different building," she whispered. "Before the renovation." She swallowed. "There was a fire 5 years ago," she continued. "3rd floor. Electrical. They said it was an accident." My skin crawled. "And after the fire," Valerie said, voice thin, "people started talking about the knocks." I stared at her. "Why didn't you move?" Valerie's laugh was bitter and small. "Because moving doesn't help," she said. "They don't attach to apartments." She looked up at the ceiling like she could see through it. "They attach to habits." The night I almost answered. A week passed with no knocks, no taps, no messages. The silence made it worse because it felt like a pause in a conversation I didn't want to be in. Then, on a Sunday, I woke to a sound that wasn't a knock. My name, spoken through the door. Softly. Correctly. I sat up so fast I got dizzy. My phone showed 2:59 a.m. My mouth went dry. The minute changed. 3 a.m., my name again. "Ethan," the voice whispered. I froze because nobody in the building knew my name. I hadn't introduced myself. I hadn't put my name on the mailbox yet. Valerie had called me new tenant. That was it. "Ethan," the voice repeated, and it sounded familiar. Not like Valerie. Not like the calm man. like someone I knew, like my sister. My blood ran cold. My sister lives in another state. We talk once a week. We hadn't talked in 2 days. The voice through the door continued. "I need you to open," it said, and my heart cracked, because it sounded exactly like her when she's trying not to cry. "I'm outside," the voice whispered. "Please." My hands shook. Every instinct in my body screamed to move, to check, to confirm, to protect. I got out of bed and took one step into the hallway. Then I saw it. The paper on my door. 3 rules. And something Valerie had said. They can sound like anything. I stopped. The voice changed immediately, as if it sensed the hesitation. "Ethan," it whispered, softer. "I'm scared." My throat tightened. My eyes burned. I almost spoke. I almost said her name back. Instead, I did something I'd never done before. I turned my phone's video camera on and pointed it at the door from a distance, without approaching the peephole. I hit record. Then I stayed silent. The voice paused. A long pause. Then, in a tone that wasn't my sister anymore, tone stripped of emotion, calm and flat, the voice said, "Wrong choice." 3 knocks followed, harder this time. Tap, tap, tap. Then another 3, closer together. The doorknob didn't move. The lock didn't test. It wasn't trying to get in. It was marking time, like a countdown. My phone buzzed. A message appeared. "You failed the easy way." A second message. "Now we try the other door." My skin went cold. Because there is always another door. The hallway door to the stairwell. The basement door. The fire exit. Or Valerie's door. I took a breath, slow and careful, and did the only thing that felt right. I didn't open my door. I didn't speak through it. I quietly grabbed my keys, slipped them into my pocket, and walked to my balcony. Then I climbed over the railing and onto the small maintenance ledge that connected to Valerie's balcony. It was stupid, dangerous, but fear makes you creative. I crossed the ledge in silence and knocked, normal knocks, on Valerie's balcony door. Tap, tap. Valerie opened it immediately, eyes wide, like she'd been awake all along. "It's here," I whispered. Valerie nodded once, face pale. "I know." Then, from inside her apartment, behind her, from the direction of her front door, we heard 3 knocks. Not on her door. On the wall, inside. Valerie's eyes filled with tears. "That's new," she whispered. I backed away. Valerie grabbed my arm hard. "Don't run," she hissed. "That's what it wants." The knocking inside her wall repeated. Tap, tap, tap. Then, from the hallway, a calm voice, male, spoke softly. "Valerie," it said, like it knew her. Valerie's face drained of color. It said her name the way someone says a friend's name, comfortable, familiar. "Open the door," it said gently. "You've been so good at listening." Valerie swallowed. "No." The voice sighed, disappointed. Then it said something that made my blood turn to ice. "It's okay," it whispered. "We'll let him open it." And at that exact moment, behind me, my own apartment door handle clicked. From the inside. I froze. Because I wasn't there. And nobody should have been inside my apartment. Valerie's grip tightened on my arm so hard it hurt. "Don't look," she whispered. "If you look, you confirm it." My chest felt like it was collapsing. My door handle clicked again, faintly, from inside. Then a third click. Then silence. My phone buzzed. "Unknown number. You left." Another buzz. So did the rule. Another. "Come home." Valerie shook her head slowly, eyes glossy. "Don't," she whispered. "It's trying to make you return to the door." My throat burned. My door. Someone's inside. Valerie swallowed. "There isn't." I stared at her. I heard it. Valerie's voice dropped to barely audible. You heard a sound, she corrected. That's all. Then she looked at me with the kind of fear that isn't panic. It's certainty. In this building, she whispered, sounds are invitations. We stayed in Valerie's apartment until morning. Neither of us slept. The police came at 7 a.m. after Valerie called them. Calls work in daylight, she told me. It doesn't like witnesses. They searched my unit. No sign of forced entry. No one inside. My locks were intact. My door didn't stick. My chain wasn't broken. Everything looked normal. The officers exchanged looks, the kind that says, "This is another one," without saying it. One of them asked gently, "Any drugs? Medication? Stress?" I hated him for it. But I understood why he asked. Because the story sounded like madness. A door handle clicking from inside when I wasn't there. A voice mimicking my sister. Messages from unknown numbers. Knocks inside walls. It sounded like the kind of thing you dismiss until you've heard it. Until you've stood in the dark, holding your breath, trying to pretend you don't exist. Valerie moved out that week. So did I. We didn't tell each other where we were going. That was Valerie's idea. If it follows habits, she said, don't let it link us. I moved across town. New building, new routine, new door. For a month, I slept like someone who's escaped a nightmare. Then, on a quiet Tuesday, my phone buzzed at 2:59 a.m. No notification, just a vibration. I sat up, heart racing, staring at the screen like it was a trigger. 2:59. I waited. 3 o'clock. No knock on the door. No voice. No hallway sound. Relief hit me so hard, I almost laughed. Then I heard it. 3 knocks. Not on the door. On the headboard behind my bed. Tap, tap, tap. My blood turned to ice. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Good. You moved. Another message. New door. Same rule. Then the last message. Calm and simple. Pretend you're not home. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. I stared into the dark, trying to become nothing. And in the silence, I realized the most terrifying part of that rule wasn't what it told you to do. It was what it implied. That something out there doesn't need your door. It just needs you to acknowledge it. And the moment you do, whether you open, speak, or even look, you become part of its schedule. 3 a.m. 3 knocks. And a world that expects you to answer. I never answered. But I still listen. Every night. Because now I know what the rule really means. It doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you quiet. And quiet is all it needs.